Hello everyone, this is Jay Wengro, and welcome to Think Like a Software Engineer, Episode 9. One of the key traits of an effective software engineer is their attention to detail. You need extreme attention to detail in order to properly debug errors and get through hurdles. When someone new learning to code complains about who really cares about the difference between a lowercase t and an uppercase t, I question to myself whether this person is really cut out for that. A software engineer needs to care about the difference between a lowercase t and an uppercase t. And here I'll present to you a very extreme case of where attention to detail is of utmost importance. So here I am inside of a Google Doc, and I'm just playing around with some code in my head. I'm not actually intending to run it, but I'm trying to come up with ideas for an exercise, let's say, that I'm recording here. So I'm going to write some simple code. I'm going to set a variable, and I will say A equals the string hello, and then B equals space there, exclamation mark, and I'm going to print the result. Puts is the keyword in Ruby that prints something to the terminal. So I'm going to print A plus B, which should print out hello there to the terminal. And I decide, you know what, I'm actually going to run this code. I'm not just going to save this here for posterity. I'm going to take this code and copy it and paste it into my actual text editor. So I'm going to paste it here. Looks good. I'm going to run it in the terminal. This program name is called simple.rb, so I'm going to run ruby simple.rb, and it actually does not work. Instead, I get an error message that says simple.rb1, meaning that there's an error on line 1, and it says undefined local variable or method hello for main object, which seems really strange because my code looks fine, and why is it complaining that hello is an undefined method? I don't intend for it to be a method. It's supposed to be a string. And this is one of those types of things that if you've never encountered this particular problem before, you might be stuck staring at this for several hours. But here is where the attention to detail is critical. Now, again, if you haven't coded in a text editor before or in this text editor before, you may not notice this. But if you look really, really carefully at these quotation marks, they are these sort of curly, sort of italicized quotation marks, and actually not the standard ones. Watch carefully here on line 4, where I put in these quotation marks. Here I just typed in shift quotation marks, and you could see that besides being yellow, there are also these straight vertical quotation marks, as opposed to the ones on lines 1 and 2 that they're sort of slanted and they look sort of italicized. Now, if I go ahead and change these quotation marks by deleting the ones that are there and replacing them with these regular ones and try to run our program again, it works. Now, why did this even happen? This happened because since I wrote my code initially inside Google Docs, the way that Google Docs apparently creates their quotation marks is this sort of stylized quotation mark, which for the purposes of a Google document is perfectly fine. Google Docs are not really meant for code, but the problem is that when I wrote this code inside the Google Doc and then I copied it over to my text editor, it carries over as this stylized quotation mark, which unfortunately, in the Ruby programming language anyway, is not valid, which is why I received the error of undefined local variable or method hello. It doesn't even recognize hello as being a string because it doesn't start or end with the standard quotation marks. Does that require a sort of extreme attention to detail? Yes, it absolutely does. And that's why attention to detail is a critical trait for becoming a successful software engineer. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.